Hello, my name is Cameron Orloff, and I am back to speak on the subject of poverty, specifically poverty among children that affects the way they live life. Child poverty is linked to higher rates of asthma, obesity, infant mortality, and other injuries. This is due to the lack of money to afford nutritious food items. Poor children are more likely to have extremely high levels of stress that can alter their brain function. Poverty actually damages areas of developing brains that are important for critical thinking, reading, comprehension, and language, making it harder for the children to learn. The result of this is children not being able to learn effectively. This will cause them to drop out of school because they have slow developing brains. They will get a low-paying job, which will put them, and if they reproduce their children, into poverty. This will most likely cause a loop among the children from generation to generation to also have these problems. This is a disease we can't ignore. Not only is poverty poisoning children, it is costing our country outrageous amounts of money per year in loss of productivity and poor health. We need to cure it, and we need to cure it as quickly as possible. Research now shows that giving children a healthy start pays off in health and well-being in the long run. This is not just important for children and their families, but for society as a whole. Before the 1960s, America's elderly were the higher percentage in poverty than any other age group. The nation addressed this problem by increasing Social Security spending dramatically and creating health Medicare. Between 1960 and 1995, the poverty rate among people 65 and older fell 35% to 10%. Poverty can decrease for children too if the family income is raised. The easiest way to do this is to increase minimum wage, which will help the parents of the children, and later on, when the children get a job, it will give them support. We now take a break for our sponsor, Children's Hunger Alliance, who directly feeds children nutritious and healthy meal options that ensures the reinforcement of a healthy lifestyle that many low-income children do not have access to. Thank you, and we are now back with a special guest, Aidan Berger.
Hello, my name is Aidan Berger, and I would like to express how dangerous poverty can be to a person's health. Poverty affects health before babies are born and piles up throughout their adult lives. With stress-filled homes, malnutrition, and toxic environments, children never catch up when it comes to their health. Between 10 and nearly 15 years is the difference in life expectancy between the poorest and richest people in the United States. Poverty is a negative, independent factor that influences lifelong health. Through the science of toxic stress, we understand that early childhood adversity and poverty is a factor that affects not only the brain, but affects the probability of lifelong illness. Throughout many families in poverty, there is increased hunger, but somehow more obesity. This is because the cheapest food you can buy is usually empty calories. Many of these families live in places where there is nowhere to get vegetables and only fast food. So when it is time to get food, they eat fast food, and an abundance of it. Almost half of children who live in poverty have mothers with some symptoms of depression because of the stresses of raising a family in poverty. Mothers who are depressed interact with their children very differently. They lack social and emotional connections, which also have long-term effects. Children everywhere are suffering from poverty. Unless we can decrease the rate of poverty now, it will continue hitting many families and may spiral out into something worse.
Thank you, Aidan. That is all for this podcast today. Thank you for sticking around, and we will see you next time when we expand on the subject of poverty.